Welcome to Teaching Restored, where we get to talk about how great it is to teach the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Kevin Jones.
And I'm Julie Hilliard. And can I start by telling a story that has absolutely nothing to do with the topic that we're going to be discussing today?
Oh, really?
Permission?
Oh, permission granted.
Okay, it's a quick one. So this morning I had to go to the airport to pick up my daughter. She was coming in on a flight as an unaccompanied minor. So I go to this, I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go because every line is so dang long. And so I go to this lady and I'm like, excuse me, are you the information desk for Alaska or are you the information desk generally? And she's like, yes, and yes, both. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So I ask her this question. I'm like, my daughter's an unaccompanied minor. I need to get a pass to go through security, blah, blah, blah. She gives me an answer. It was awesome. And I'm like, thank you so much. And I turn to go walk away. And this guy behind me goes, well, so happy that you could just cut me off and cut in front of me. I mean, just super snarky and rude. And I was like, where'd you come from? Like, I literally had not seen him at all. So I turned around, I looked him in the eye, and I was like, I am so sorry. I promise I did not see you there at all. It was not intentional. And the minute I started to apologize to him, his face was like, and he couldn't make eye contact with me anymore. And I thought, wow, that is so interesting. Because if you think about people's typical response to somebody being snarky, what does the snarky person expect in response?
Snark
Isn't it
back.
crazy that they expect snark? They don't expect kindness.
Right.
And so it really was sincere. Like, I felt super bad. I did not even see him at all, but he couldn't even make eye contact with me during this apology. And I'm like, wow, it made me a little bit sad. Then it made me giggle a little bit. And then it made me go, you know what? We really have to be better at just being kind to people so that people don't think kindness is odd. He couldn't even make eye contact with me when I was being nice. Isn't that weird? Kind of made me sad.
That is weird.
Made me giggle. And then anyway, the reason that I share that is because it's been on my mind lately. If I can just put it out there, we aren't nice to strangers enough. I feel like we need to do a better job of looking around and smiling at people and being nice to people. I think we let ourselves off the hook because we walk around like this a lot with this in front of our face. And I am making a personal goal to look up more, look outside of myself more, catch people's eyes more, smile more. It's awkward, makes them feel uncomfortable. It's the best.
I've got a story for you then.
Tell me your story.
I've got another story. Okay, here we go. I'm at Costco and this lady she's frantically checking and we're checking out, right? She's beep, beep, beep. Oh, how you doing? I'm great. How are you? Good. And then we have a little pleasantry back and forth. And I don't remember what it was, but she said, you know what? Costco doesn't have not a byline, but a what do you call it? Just a slogan. Costco doesn't have a slogan.
Or a slogan? Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a slogan. I said, I had never thought about that. I guess you don't. She goes, because we don't advertise. So slogan. So what do you say to people? When they come up, and I said, well, do you say that you love them? She's like, no, I should know. In fact, yeah, my sister asked that if I'm at the check where they check your register, they check your receipt and they sign off, or when they come in, do you say you love them? No. And I thought maybe I should do that. I said, you know what? Maybe you should, because no one ever does that. That would be very memorable. She goes, oh, okay. And I know, there's no way she's going to do it. Right. And so she gives me the receipt. I walk away. I said, bye. I love you. And I walk off.
Oh my gosh. That is seriously so funny. Have you ever done that? Been on a business call and gone to say goodbye and said, I love you.
Oh, I know it. I love you. Oh, yes, I love you.
Sorry.
In a very platonic way.
That is a much better thing to accidentally do than a lot of other things that I can imagine you doing. And man, would it ever take people off guard.
True. I didn't accidentally do that though. I did it on purpose.
You did it on purpose. I'm just saying,
Oh,
that we
okay.
do it by accident.
Yes, yes.
I do it by accident sometimes. I've never done it on purpose. I don't know
I
how I
had
feel
never
about
done
that.
it as well. Do it sometimes. You know what?
Just tell
Someone
me
checks you
I love
out at Safeway. Just say, see you later. Love you.
Oh
And
my
see what
gosh, I don't know
happens.
if I can do it.
Okay, that's my challenge to everyone listening. Just randomly tell people that you love them as you go, or hello, love you, and then just keep going.
Like, is Kevin weird?
No,
Is that weird?
no,
Are you
try
weird?
it. It was really kind of cool.
Okay. Okay.
Try it.
Hey, I just challenged people to smile. You're like going the distance, man.
I'm going above and beyond here.
You are
I'm
an
an overachiever.
overachiever.
Yes.
Total overachiever. I love it so much. Okay, let's switch subjects, shall we?
Shall we?
Do you ever go bowling?
Yes,
Do you like it?
I do like it.
That's awesome. Do you ever go bowling with people who hate it?
No.
Have you ever bowled with somebody that just gets so mad?
Yes. Yes.
You have? Why do they get mad when they go bowling?
Because they stink at it. That would be me, actually. That'd be me.
You're bad at it?
Oh, I'm not good at it by any means. I mean, I'm fine. But then there are times when it's just horrible, and why do I even come here? Why do I even do this?
Right. Right. I mean, I've had times when it's like gutterball, gutterball, gutterball. It's the worst,
Sure.
right? So, have you ever gone bowling with kids?
Yes.
What do
times.
kids get?
They get the gutter things, the gutter rails, so they never fail.
Yeah, the bumper pads or whatever, right?
Yeah, there you go.
The bumper things, the bumper rails. So have you ever like left them up for you?
No.
I totally have, and it is so awesome. I like bowling so much better when I leave the bumper pads up. Why do you think I like bowling better when I leave the bumper pads up?
Well, so I love playing disc golf, and I've realized I am a much better and happier disc golfer when there are no trees around. I think it's the same reason.
Right. Right.
Right?
Because you can be more successful if you don't have this obstacle that you end up getting caught in.
I could be awesome. Right. Yeah.
Is a tree the equivalent of a gutter in disc golf?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're stuck, right?
Like you hit a tree and it goes 90 degrees in the opposite direction. Or
right.
in a
right.
wrong direction.
Or it gets caught in the tree. We've had that happen before.
Yeah,
too,
that does happen.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about bumper pads in teaching. So one of the reasons I think that kids, like people enjoy doing things more if they can be successful at doing it, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to enjoy something that you stink badly at. I mean, with bowling, it's sometimes funny. Like you said, you can be really bad at it and it can be fun. But I think that in general, we like things that we can be successful at. And
yes.
I think we become more motivated to improve once we experience a little bit of success. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. So I think that in teaching, we've talked a lot about what it means to be successful in teaching, right? What constitutes success. And I was listening to another one of the Why Religion podcasts, and Brad Wilcox was talking, and he brought up this concept of bumper pads of understanding. And it really resonated with me. And the idea is that he's talking about how can you help people in your classroom to be successful or to experience success so that they want more of it, so that they're more motivated to stay engaged, so that they want to do something with what you teach. And so our goal as teachers, in a way, is to help our students experience a little bit of success or feel a little bit of success so that they want more of it. And so one of the things that he suggests is that we can put into place some bumper pads of understanding to help them experience more success. Does that make sense?
All right, explain this. Yes. I'm
Okay.
intrigued.
I'm going to explain it, but I'm going to start with the scripture. So
Deal.
let's go to Ephesians, if you would. And I want to look at Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. And I'm not even going to
429.
give
Okay.
context. We're just going to take this as like an isolated thing, and we're just going to use it as some words of wisdom for a minute.
Sure.
Is that fair? Okay, so the idea of let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, when you click on the cross references for that, it's like talking about gossip and profanity and stuff like that. So let's just kind of ignore that part for a minute. Okay.
Okay.
It says, but, so it's saying this is what we want to come out of your mouth. So none of that stuff, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah. What we want to come out of your mouth is that which is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
This note, to the use of edifying. What do you think that phrase means? Like, we know we're going to try and teach good stuff. So good stuff is coming out of our mouths. But what do you think that phrase, to the use of edifying, might mean?
You can use whatever comes out of your mouth to build upon, to expand, to
Right.
yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of how I interpret it too. Has to be useful. Has to be something that we
Sure.
can use, but specifically use to build upon, to
Yeah.
grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was interesting that it doesn't just say that which is good and edifies, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
actually saying to the use.
To the use of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I thought that was kind of an interesting point. And then it also makes this point. It says that it may minister grace unto the hearers. So I've been thinking a little bit about that. What do you think it means to minister grace? Like what? I don't know. Like I really am kind of a little unsure, but I have some ideas. What do you think it means?
Well, off the top of my head, I could see that meaning something along the lines of when I think of grace, I think of we're at one level and grace affords us to be at another level, even though we may not deserve that, a higher level.
Right.
Right. And so
Right.
if we're going to minister grace, maybe we're taking our class and they're at one level and then showing them a higher level and saying, no, you're really here, or you can be here, or here's a deeper understanding of this, and giving a little bit more than what they're used to, or I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so you used a phrase that I hadn't really thought of when you said, so it made me think of the definition of grace, which we think about sometimes as an enabling power, right?
Yes.
So, because you were talking about taking it kind of to the next level, I've heard kind of a different definition of the word enable. You think of like an enabling parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which has a negative connotation to it.
Mm-hmm.
An enabling parent removes obstacles for their kid so that they don't like experience pain, so that they don't like, they just make it as easy as possible for their kid. That's kind of what you would think of as an enabling parent, right?
Good.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about the positive connotations of the word enabling, like the idea that an enabler is removing obstacles. So if you, as a teacher, are ministering grace, this just came to me when you said your definition. I thought, I wonder if part of what you're doing is trying to help remove obstacles that might get in the way of their growth.
That's great. I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just came to me when you were using that definition. And so if we're using that, think a little bit about then bumper pads. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we've got these bumper pads. What is in the gutter, so to speak, in terms of our teaching? Like, what does it look like to throw a gutter ball when you're teaching? Is it evil in the gutter? Are there alligators there that are going to devour you? Like, why do you not want to go into the gutter? What is there when you are teaching? Speaking metaphorically, of course.
Okay. Metaphorically here, what I'm thinking of is that the gutters are actually a part of the game,
Okay,
right?
so tell me what you mean.
Right. So the gutters are a part of the game of bowling. They are there. There's zero. It's not even a negative. It's not like, oh, you went into the gutter, -5 points. You're down now. Right? It is just a zero. You got nothing on that one. It's not even a negative, like if we could say positive, negative,
Not even an
evil,
equalizer.
good thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could say that,
Zero.
right, zero. And we're not looking for zeros. We're looking for knocking pins down. We're looking for to be able to get some points there, right? So
Okay.
the enabling allows us to not even just not go negative, but not even be zero, but to actually move forward.
Oh, I love that. I hadn't actually thought of that either. So if the gutter represents zero, what we're doing by putting a bumper pad in it is saying we're not settling for zero. We're not settling for paralysis, stagnation, nothingness, doing nothing. We're
Right,
not settling for just want, lazy. What we want is some kind of progress.
right.
Even if you skim a pin or knock a single pin down where you knocked zero down last time or whatever, like we are looking to help you move toward some kind of points.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So let's think about, if this is zero, what types of things would zero you out when you're teaching? Does that make sense? Like
Yes,
if you
yes.
are the teacher, what what are you trying to protect people from? Like we're talking about, we don't want them to go into the gutter. We don't want them to zero out. So what would zero us out? What would cause that? Like in
Okay.
our teaching.
Well, rather than what would cause that, let me kind of tell you what comes to mind when I think of zeroing out. If I teach a lesson
Okay.
and we all walk away and we never think about it again and we don't change our lives because of it in some
Okay, I
way, or
love
our
it.
testimony doesn't grow, that's zeroing out. That
Good, 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 good. Okay.
nothing, right? Zero. We're done. There would need to be some change of heart, some change of action, some change of some thought, some understanding gained, maybe, for a lesson to be in the
Okay.
positive.
So no change would be it went in the gutter.
Yep.
Okay. What else? Let me ask you a
What?
question and go ahead. Did you have a thought? Sorry.
No,
I know
no.
this is
I
like,
was going to ask, are you looking for the result or what makes it do that?
no, I'm looking kind of for what it looks like. Like I'm trying to
Okay.
describe a gutter ball in teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I could also say that we aren't doing it well. I mean, boy, I guess I could go on and on. We didn't prepare, or we didn't
okay.
prepare in the right way. We didn't
Okay.
use the spirit.
Okay.
We focused on ourselves. We, yeah,
Let me ask a question. Could you, I mean, this is going to sound a little bit rhetorical, but I actually mean it pretty honestly because I think that I'm guilty of this and I think that sometimes we all are. Um, but like, can you prepare and disseminate a whole bunch of information and still have it land, like have it be really interesting and still be a gutter ball?
sure. Yeah.
Right. And that probably
Yeah.
goes back to your first one. They never think about it again. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, So one of the things that I started thinking about a little bit is that the idea that for someone it might be a gutter ball and for someone else it might not be,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I've seen that.
So,
Right.
and that comes from the fact that you have kids, let's say, I mean, in any setting, I'm thinking though, not in, actually, this is true in your own home as well. So this is true across the board, that you have people with different levels of understanding, different interpretations of the
Mm-hmm.
gospel. So sometimes you can throw a gutter ball for someone by using words that they don't understand, or you can throw a gutter ball for someone by talking about a concept that's completely unfamiliar and then trying to go deeper.
Sure.
Right. And so I think that having different levels of understanding um, makes it easier sometimes to throw a gutter ball for one kid or person
Yeah.
and not for another.
Well, then that means also then that the level of readiness of each individual learner would also make it a gutter ball or not. Because if I'm not ready to learn, I'm gonna receive it as a gutter ball, and it's gonna be zeroed out for me. But if I'm ready to learn and I want to, then I'll find some meaning in it. You know?
Okay, so what you're saying is that the teacher can put up some bumper pads, but the learner also can be responsible for putting up some bumper
Certainly.
pads, meaning like that our own personal preparation could in and of itself represent a bumper pad or a way to avoid any lesson going into the gutter. I remember reading something recently or hearing it, I can't remember, it's quoted recently about it was, I can't remember even what this is I'm such a professional. I can't even remember who said it. Like, I'm so bad at this. You're going to tell me who said it and I'm going to be embarrassed. But it was a prophet, and he was asked something about like, what do you do when you're in a bad lesson? He's like, I don't know. I've never been in one.
Right.
And talked about the idea that, you get out what you put in. And like, I'm always taking notes. I'm always looking for something in it. And that could be, in a way, the onus is on the learner for putting up the bumper pads of having something totally tank and being a gutter ball, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what I want to do, I mean, we've kind of beat the metaphor just a little bit, but I want to beat it even further, but I want to make some progress in our beating of it. So I want to talk about what some specific bumper pads are that we can put up, some things that we can put into place that will help everyone, even the people that are, totally profesh and throwing strikes every single time. Maybe they have an off throw or they trip and whatever as they're coming in to, make their throw. I'm using such good terminology for bowling.
Yes.
I'm so sorry,
It's
but just
impressive.
bear with me. Shh, don't talk about it. Okay, so, you have this guy who throws strikes 90% of the time, and then one time he trips over his shoelace and would have thrown a gutter ball. But don't worry, you've got the bumper pads of understanding. That's the person who has a really crappy day, and then they walk into your classroom with all this baggage, right? And everything could have potentially tanked, but don't worry, you've put some bumper pads in place for everyone.
Sure.
So whether it's the person who has no gospel knowledge or the person who has just had a really horrible day or whatever it is, these bumper pads really are intended to help the entire class. And so I want to talk about what some of those might look like. And then after we talk about those, I want to talk about what are the pins? What do the pins represent? Okay. So let's start with the bumper pads for just a second.
We're seriously going metaphoric here. Wow. Well done.
We are. And I feel like I don't want to stretch it too far, but it really does speak to me. So I think that there are two parts that we have to define. And like I said, one of them is what are the bumper pads and how do we create those? But the other one, like I said, is we have to really define what success looks like. Like, what does it look like to knock down a pin, right? What does it look like to get a strike?
Sure.
And so let's, like I said, let's start with the bumper pads. And I had some ideas of what might be a bumper pad. But before I share some of my ideas, what are some of the first things that come to your mind that could potentially be a bumper pad? What are some of the things that you would put in place to make sure that things don't fall in the gutter and somebody doesn't walk away and do nothing?
As I'm thinking about this, actually, and this may not make sense right now, but the bumper pads and the pins have a lot of crossover in my mind all of a sudden. So maybe it shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it's kind of going right now. So let me say that some of the bumper pads may be interaction. It might be, right? They doesn't have to be, but it might be some interaction rather than.
How would an interaction be a bumper pad?
I think anytime we can help people have an experience, then and get them interactive and involved in it, they are more likely to learn.
Okay. So do you think that is like, when you say that, I'm thinking like engagement keeps people from tuning out, because that's a gutterball, right?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay. So involving them, interaction is a great bumper pad. What else?
Right. Of course, the spirit. The spirit's going to be a huge one. Yeah. Yeah. No duh. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta have the spirit there. Preparation.
Okay.
The preparation that we as a teacher and as a learner might come with.
Okay.
Definitely scriptures. Words
Using
of living prophet. Using the teachings of Jesus. Using the foundational elements that will actually make things not zero, right?
Okay. Not zero. Yep.
Non-zero sum game.
Okay.
Those are a few off the top.
Perfect. And those are things we've talked about, a lot of those things, right?
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah. And I would agree with every single one of those. I think that all of those are really, really important bumper pads to keep us from zeroing out. I thought of a couple, like a little bit more like practical and specific ones that I'll just share with you real quick, that you can't do in isolation. Like you have to do the bumper pads that you just talked about. So I don't want my practical ideas to in any way trump the really important bumper pads that you just talked about. But we're going to dig in and be super practical for just a second. So one of the bumper pads that I think we need to put in place is breaking things down. Let me give you a quick little story or experience. I have done this a lot. I feel so bad because I keep making the same mistake over and over. And here's the interesting thing. I do this more in casual conversation than I do in a teaching setting. But casual conversations where you have the opportunity to share something with someone in a way that has the potential to be a teaching opportunity. Like I've had a friend ask me a question or a kid ask me a question. I'll give you a very specific one. This is so embarrassing to me. I had a friend who was getting ready to get married, and she was going through the temple for the first time and asked, because I'd taught temple prep and done some things with the youth related to that before, she asked, even though she lived quite a ways away, if I would just spend some time on Zoom with her and her fiance to talk a little bit about the temple. And her fiance was not a member of the church. And so in my mind, I'm like, wow, this is kind of a big deal. And I asked a friend of mine if she would join me in doing this as well. And I proceeded to give them both a drink from a fire hose and talked about all of these deep stories that I found in the Bible, because I was in the middle of studying the Old Testament and how it related to the temple. And I thought, oh, they'll totally connect with this because they both read the Bible. He especially would, only read the Bible. So this will be a way to connect them with the Bible. Like I had all the logical reasons in the world from doing it. And I can be a decent storyteller. So I thought I told a really great story as I related this. Completely lost them both. Completely.
Oh no.
And then my friend proceeded to teach and just broke it down and just was so simple and so real. I felt like a fool.
Oh, no.
I felt so dumb. And okay, but like learning opportunity, I'm willing to just, throw out all of my mistakes. So hopefully that somebody can learn from them. But I think that one of the biggest things is you don't want to give people a drink from a fire hose. Just because something is clear to you doesn't mean it's going to be clear to them. Right? Any comments on that?
That reminds me of, I'm gonna pull a Julie here. One of the apostles that said, and I can hear his voice. It is one of them. Emeril Ballard, I think.
At least
he said something like, when someone asks you about the church, they are not saying, when is the next next baptism time? Please teach me everything so I can be baptized right now, kind of thing. They're asking
Yeah.
that question. You don't fire hose them.
Yeah.
It's bit by bit.
Right.
That's what that made me think of.
So, but how do we avoid doing that? Like if our bumper pad is
Yep.
to make sure that we break things down, that we aren't giving them, drink from a fire hose. Like part of one of the notes that I wrote down is like, if something took me 5 days to come to, I can't expect them to arrive at the same conclusion with the same amount of clarity in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So how do you do that? Like,
okay. So this has kind of been my mantra for a while now in teaching, in counseling with someone, in ministering, in visiting, in anything. It's what is their next step?
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good.
That is all. That is as far as you go. You don't keep going. I mean, if they want to know, okay, where does this lead to? Great. But if you're trying to help them understand, you can't take them really much past what is their next step in learning, in acting upon information. It just, that is pretty much the limit.
Okay, so but how do you do that when you've got a big group where everybody's next step is going to look a little bit different?
Then I would say you teach a principle, you discuss a principle, and then you say, what is your next step?
Okay. And maybe have them share some of that. Yeah,
Sure,
yeah. So they need to identify. So then I heard you just say something that I think is really key, that we make sure that we are teaching the principle, like that we're not teaching information, right? That we are teaching principles. Principles are universal, timeless, and self-evident, meaning that you can't, like, it's self-evident, meaning it will be evident to you. You can't break a principle. You will break yourself against a principle, right?
Yes.
And so when we are teaching, we need to make sure that we break it down enough that we identify what the principle is that we're teaching, so that we can give suggestions for application, but because that will look different for everybody, what we have to teach from is a place of principles.
You're right? Exactly.
And that's kind of the idea of breaking it down enough. So like our journey, if understanding in a lesson, it's that whole thing we've talked about where we are going to wade through complexity. We don't need to take everyone through that complexity.
Right.
Even though we think it makes us look really smart. We need to teach from the place of simplicity that we've arrived at, and then you can back into complexity if they're ready for it. Right? But your goal is to start from and stay in a place of simplicity until you kind of back into some of the complexity as people are ready for it. Is that a fair assessment?
So one caveat I might have in that I can see, and maybe it's not, but if we're talking about a simplicity that you came to, okay, I'm actually seeing both ways in my mind. And I can see where you can do that and you can back into it and people will go, oh, okay, I get it now. But on the other hand, I've done this where I arrive at this simplicity and I start backing into it, and they have a hard time understanding my simplicity because it is my simplicity. It's not theirs. They're not there to get that simplicity, right? So
yeah,
as long as that simplicity, I guess, is their version of it, or maybe a step ahead, and then you back into how to get there from where they are. But
so keep in mind, though, if we're talking about this, the simplicity that I'm trying to be really, I want to be really clear about, is that it has to be based in a principle. Does that make sense? And so their way to apply that principle might look different, but the simplicity of the principle itself, if you are teaching a principle, I think that is a place of simplicity, right?
Yeah, I see that.
And so, backing into complexity, what I mean by that is like saying, and this is how I came to understand this myself, and maybe taking them on a bit of a journey. But you don't want to take them on the journey and be like, big reveal, this is what the principle is that we're teaching. You want to teach the principle and then maybe tiptoe back into the journey a little bit.
Right.
Does that make
Good.
sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah. I can see where that would be very, very helpful. Right.
Well, because I think, and this is part of it, I think that part of what I'm doing is revealing a weakness that I have, which is that I love to take people on the journey, because the journey for me is fascinating. So here I am saying this, and I violate this all the time, even with my own kids. Like, for scripture study, I said last night, I'm like, you guys, I cannot wait to talk about something that I learned in section 88 that is so cool. And they're like, okay, mom. Well, the trend is that when I try and sit down with section 88 and open it up and take them on the journey, I've lost them after like 30 seconds.
Sure.
So what I'm trying to do to prepare for our conversation about section 88 tonight is to think about, okay, what is the principle that I want us to discuss? And so I'm going to start with questions around that principle. I'm not going to start with verse, 25 and then walk them through to verse 42. And I mean, I don't know if those are the actual verses, but do you see what I'm saying? I'm going to say is this is, and that's a bumper pad of understanding. This is what we're talking about. You don't have to figure it out. Let me teach the principle. Now let's back through these verses and see how we can actually validate the principle.
Yeah. So they know where they're going. They see that. Yeah. And then they can see a reason for the story or for the complexity. But if we're just throwing out the complexity or the story first, that may be a little difficult if they don't know where they're going. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then along those same lines, is the idea of figuring out what the why behind the lesson is. Meaning, what specifically do you want to have stick? So if you're saying, I really want to avoid a 0, so what is it that you want to have stick? Right?
Sure. Yes.
And so that's kind of different from this, what's the principle? Right? It's what do you want to have stick? And so one of the things that he talked about is the fact that sometimes we want, and I alluded to this just a second ago, sometimes we want to build a lesson to some big reveal, like I was saying just a second ago. But he's like, if you can say the why out of the gate, like this is why we're talking about it. This is, maybe get to the action item. This is the point. This is the reason out of the gate. Then it helps people want to be engaged in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Gives them a reason for being there, for engaging, for allowing themselves to participate, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if you go into the story right away or the complexity right away, they don't see the value because
they're like, why should I care?
It hasn't been shown that. Right. Exactly. It's just going to be another lesson, just another, we're just talking again. That's all we're doing rather than, hey, we want to get here. Let's figure out how to get there.
Right. And so if the idea is to keep them out of the gutter is disengagement or boredom or, doing nothing with it or, whatever, those are some of the things that you do to help keep them out of the gutter. And I was thinking a little bit about engagement this morning, and some of the things that we do to keep them engaged are specific. They are, in a way, it's like what you talked about a little bit earlier, that one of the gutter balls is or one of the bumper pads is interaction. But people won't engage if they fear looking stupid.
Sure.
And so part of what you have to do is help them know that you're not like trying to corral them into a certain point and a certain way of thinking. And, am I going to say the right thing or am I going to look stupid? Part of you want them to engage. So they have to know why they're engaging and what they're engaging around. Right?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Cool. Okay.
I like that.
Third bumper pad, 3. And then we'll talk about the pins. Okay. Number 3 is to just cover a few things rather than just skim over a whole bunch of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think if you have a principle and you have what's that, how'd you term it, that number two, what the main thing, what'd you call
The
that?
why, yeah, just kind of like, what do you want to have stick?
Yeah, what do you want to have stick, right? You can't cover everything and expect everything to stick. You really gotta focus on one or two things. And even
Yep.
if the lesson says, well, you could do this, and you can do this, and make sure you cover this, and you can't.
Right. No, and those are suggestions. It's because different strokes for different folks, right? Like a lesson manual is intended to give you ideas that would maybe speak to different audiences. It isn't intended to have you cover everything that's in that manual.
That's not the way it's seen, though, Julie.
I
That's
know.
not.
That was a secret. I just revealed a secret.
Whoa. Wait. You don't have to cover everything in a lesson? What?
I know. I know it's a little shocking. I should have whispered it when I said it.
Yes, you should have, because now everyone
'Cause it
knows.
was, I know. Sorry.
But that's true, though. I mean,
Okay.
but I think you and I even, well, I know I do. I fall into a bit of that trap. Oh, we need to cover
Oh, me
what?
too.
We need to cover this and this and this and this and this. And it feels almost wrong of me to leave something out. But I kind of
I know.
have to. I mean, I have to. I got to do it.
What if you're excited about all of it?
Oh,
Like, what
that's
if you
even
can't pick?
worse. I know. Oh, but that's so good. And so is that. It's, oh, I love that one. Oh, no. Oh my goodness. They've got to learn this one because this will help them so much. No.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Then play Jeopardy. Let them choose. Put them all up on the board and let them choose, category 1 for 100 and go through. Let them pick what they're going to talk about.
Sure.
If you can't decide, let them decide, but don't try and cover all of it.
Yeah. Or you
Right?
let the spirit decide.
That might be even smarter.
I know. What? Weird.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
You know what then?
Okay. So
I'll throw this in. And then
Yeah.
because I get in that mode, Julie, where, wow, that's good. They need to know this. Oh, that's so good too. They need to, trying to pile it on. And so there are two things that I might pray for. Number one, what do they need to learn? Out of all these 10 subjects, which one or two do we need to stick to? Number two, stop me from getting in the way. Help me to calm my excitement for them to learn everything and help me to focus. That's what I would pray for.
Oh, that might be a really good prayer for me sometimes. I think I forget the second part. I get excited about the
I do
first
too.
part, but then I have all the things in my head and I'm like, ooh, then they must need to learn all of it. But I love the idea of please help me not to get in the way. Like I'm excited about all of this. Like I've got to figure out how to make sure that I'm focused on the thing that is for them.
I can imagine
Yeah,
Jesus
great.
walking around thinking, you know what? You over there, you need to learn this. And it's so exciting. But I'm sure he didn't do that. He just gave him really the next step. What's the next step? What does that person need? The next.
Right. It's interesting because that's illustrated really well in the way that the writing is in The Chosen.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, actually.
Isn't that so interesting? Like that was an insight that I had not from reading my scriptures necessarily, but from watching how it was portrayed there. But then you go back and you read the scriptures and you're like, now I can see it.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
so interesting. I love that.
Huh.
Okay. So in the interest of time, I'm going to move us pretty quickly through this last part. So
Okay.
we've heard the term pillars of understanding before, but we're talking about bowling. So we're going to talk about pins of understanding. Exactly. So what are the things that they need to clearly understand in order for this point, insert whatever, to stick? So when you, for example, are saying, one of my bumper pads is, what do I want to have stick? You identify that, and then you have to identify your pins. What are the things, the specific things that need to be discussed, that they need to understand in order for this point to stick? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So what would you say are some of those pins? I can give you a couple if you need a second to think, or
Nope.
you can just bust out.
I'm busting it out. Here we go. This is the thing that came up right off the top and is kind of just driven home to me. It's, I believe, one of the major pins is an invitation to do something.
Done.
To,
yes.
To act on it. And I think we've talked about in other episodes where we do the lesson and we throw Jesus in. Right? Oh, this is about Jesus, yes. But actually did it right. I almost feel that way about invitations as well. These are all the good things. Oh, and go now. I invite you to do that. Done. Right? We don't spend enough time on the invitation itself and talk about how we might do it or whatever. It's just we throw it in. But I tell you, if we're not inviting and asking, there we go. Asking, boy, hello. I'm not going to edit that out. Asking them to act upon it and talk about possible ways of doing it and then returning and reporting kind of thing. We have a full episode on all that stuff. I think that's a huge pin.
Okay. So I'm going to break out some pins from the things that you even said.
Okay.
So in order to get to the pin of the invitation, I think another pin is, how is this real? How does this apply to me?
Yeah, good.
Okay. So yes. This application pin, I don't think that you as a teacher knock that over. Mm-hmm. I think you as a teacher invite discussion and then they work through knocking it over.
Because the teacher is really the bumpers on the side and you're letting them bowl. Yeah, you're putting the bumper pad in there and you're letting them roll the ball down, right? Not you figuring it all out themselves. Yourself.
Yes, you are not trying to throw a strike here. Right. What you're trying to do is help them have an experience with a strike.
Yes.
Right? So one of the pins, I'm so glad that you made that explicit because I think that is such a good point. In my mind, that visual was there, but it wasn't. You just clarified it, nailed it. So remembering that they are the ones that are knocking the pins down, one of the pins of understanding that they need to knock down is, how is this applicable to me in my life, in my reality? No excuses. Because I think a lot of times, I've sat in lessons before where I'm like, I don't think I really have that much of a problem with this. Next. I'm a pretty forgiving person or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm really not that arrogant, I promise. But do you know what I mean? Sometimes we can dismiss it. Oh, that's not really my situation. And we can just kind of la la land. And so I think really every single student needs to be able to knock over that pin. And we've got to put some bumper pads in place to help them, which is we're challenging them. We're asking them questions about application. Mm-hmm. We're helping them try and make those connections, right? Yep. We facilitate the connections, but they have to knock over the pin.
Yep. They've got to come up with their own application. Not always, but a lot of times or get ideas from others. But you're right. It's them creating that part, not just us throwing it at them. This is how you do it.
Exactly. Well, so then go to the invitation pin for just a second, right? You are giving an invitation. Knocking over the pin is them receiving the invitation. Yeah. It's taking that invitation and wanting to do something with it. Mm-hmm. Right? So another one that I thought a little bit about is there's a pin of what you don't understand. So let me describe this. As a student, you might have questions, like gaps in your understanding. And so asking questions so that the what I don't understand pin can get knocked over is really important. And as a teacher, part of your role is to explain things clearly, clear as kind, right? To give definitions for words that we sometimes take for granted. We're going to do another episode. We're going to do an episode on that later. What are some of the words that we just use really easily that roll off our tongue that we really don't dive into the definition of?
I love
or
that.
Deep an understanding of. So if there's an opportunity for that, take the word. We mentioned grace earlier. Knock over the grace pin by really helping them to understand the definition of the word grace so that, everything else that you're teaching makes a little bit more sense on a deeper level, right? So
Mhm.
any others that you say, I was thinking about, how does this apply to me? The invitation pin, the, what questions you have, what gaps in understanding. Are there any others that you can think of?
When you talked about the question, one thing I'll throw out there is kind of a motivation to act, an invitation to act is you mentioned questions, asking a good
Yeah.
question, and then not answering it and allowing
I
them
mean, as a
to,
teacher?
yeah, and then allowing them
Yeah.
to figure out the answer. That is an invitation in and of itself a lot of times without saying, I'm going to invite you to answer this question. You just throw it out there and you're like, what do you think? Go figure it out.
Curiosity piqued. Do you mean like inspiring them to seek further? Is that kind of what you're talking about? Like
Yes.
leaving?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we only
Yeah.
have so many minutes in a lesson, right? And you want them to
Mhm.
continue on. So give them something that really piques their interest. A question that, oh, I can't leave that one alone. I need to go beyond the classroom and figure out beyond the discussion of that we're having right now with our kids and let them figure that out on their own.
Yeah. Let them wrestle with it. Let them
Yeah.
try and figure it out. Okay. How do you do that though? Like, how do you do that? Because you can toss something out, but why would they be inspired to do more with it? Like,
Oh
how do you do
boy.
that?
Honestly, that might be a whole episode right there.
Uh-huh. And what's really interesting is that I was doing a little bit of prep today and I wrote down a bunch of notes that I think are going to get at that exact question. So maybe we
Really?
shouldn't even talk
Let's
about it
not touch that right there.
right
That's
now.
coming up. TBD.
Yeah. TBD, TBD. Okay, so hold on. There was one other thing. Hold on. Is this? Oh, shoot. Okay. I found a whole bunch more of my notes that I didn't think I had. So I have to just tell you a couple more things really fast. I thought this was the end of my notes, but I just remembered one other thing. Can I say one other thing really fast? Because I
Say
know that
another
we're kind of
thing.
running out of
Yes, we're good.
time. Okay. So another another pin, excuse me, pin of understanding, you said a little bit earlier was help them to have an experience with it, right? So that
Yes,
has to do with the engagement pin, maybe. But I want you to call it the experience pin because I think
I
that that
like it.
speaks more
Yes.
to what we're doing. So if that's the case, consider in your preparation how you want the students to engage with that topic.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're putting in some of these bumper pads, part of what you do in your preparation is say, this is a way that they can have an experience with it I'm going to help facilitate them knocking down that pin of have an experience with the topic through small group engagement, through reading different passages, through looking for answers to some of the unanswered questions, maybe together, maybe asking them, what questions do you have about this, to inspire a little bit more engagement. And so that experience
Yeah.
pin is one that we want to make sure, but I think that we need to be really open to the idea that there are a lot of different ways and a lot of different strategies to knock down that pin, even during
Agreed.
class.
Yep. Agreed. I like that a
Awesome.
lot. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. And oh, this is one other one. Oh no, I'm not going to go into that one. Okay. So I think I probably should wrap up. I know I'm stretching the analogy like a whole lot, but I just really felt strongly about the idea, and this is why I wanted to kind of tackle this, about the idea of helping people to experience success. I think that sometimes we like being teachers, but we are, I mean, we've talked about this almost ad nauseum, and I don't want to like belabor the topic, but I think that we want these students, whoever they are, our kids, it's really easy to see in this category, but like whoever it is that we're teaching, we want them to be successful. And so
Mm-hmm.
what we're trying to do is do everything that we possibly can to remove obstacles to their success. And I think that when we kind of frame our lesson in that way, saying, what are the things that I'm going to put in place to make sure that everyone is able to experience, if not a strike, at least have an experience knocking down a few of those pins personally, so that they feel successful, so that they come to class the next time saying, no, I can hit more pins next time. No, I can get deeper next time. Oh no, I really want to have an experience for myself next time, as they come into your classes, because they know that you're going to do everything that you possibly can to help them feel successful, not to feed your need as a teacher to be successful, but to help them as students to feel successful.
That's so good. Thank you. Yes. So, okay, what is our invitation? What are we saying to go do?
Okay, I love that you just asked that, because I had that pop into my mind just now. I would invite you to spend a little bit of time thinking about two things. Number one, what are some of the bumper pads that you want to be putting in place when you teach? Period. Just name them. Put them out there, right? But then the second is, as you approach the next lesson that you approach, kind of take that step back and say, what are the pins that I want to knock down? And get specific. What are some of the things that they need to understand in order to be able to, have a strike, so to speak, if we're going to stretch the analogy even further? What is the invitation that I want to extend? How do I help them to knock down the pin of how it applies to them? And go through each of those pins and make sure that you check yourself and the lesson that you've prepared to say, okay, here are the pins of understanding that I want to make sure everybody tries to knock down, and here are the bumper pads to make sure that they do that successfully. Write it down, like literally lay it out. That would be my invitation.
Love the invitation. Great ideas. Thank you, Julie. And if you would share, like, subscribe, comment, leave feedback for this, and just make sure that other people are, help other people in your ward by sharing this with them, because you know that we can all be better teachers of the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. And by the way, while you're there, make sure you go and you sign up for our newsletter, which we have now, and go check out the website, teachingrestored.com, because we have Spencer in the background. He's writing a blog post. He's going to take this podcast and take one bit of that and even go deeper. And he's an excellent writer and has things that you'll read and go, wow, that's a really good thought. So go do all that.
I love that. Like, as we do this, I'm like excited to learn from him. It's so awesome. I wonder what he's going to teach me because of what we have just discussed.
Right. Yep. Me too. Well, I do have to go because my kids and grandkids and my wife are making shadow puppets behind me now, and I must go. Thank you, Julie. Until next time. Bye, everyone.